You can work with morph dials and create them for clothing, just like we've seen with characters. And you can work with magnets in clothing, but magnets play by little different rules. And there are reasons you would want to use magnets over trying to make things work with morph dials. The morphs are a little more intuitive, and you can get a lot more fine-grained more quickly with those than you can with magnets, but there are instances where magnets are the perfect solution. And this is one of them. This is that shirt that we had been working on, and it had some issues when we went ahead and fitted it. And the issue is that the sleeve separated from the cuff. Now, this is nothing you did. It's nothing that Poser did. It has to do with how the actual file or the geometry was created. Despite the appearance of everything being connected together in Poser, it's actually a brilliant case of smoke and mirrors where there's individual parts that look like they're connected, and then when you do something extreme, you wind up finding out that they're not connected at all. It was just the appearance of that, and that's what occurred here. So we can repair this with a magnet. Now, let's go ahead and get going on that. What I would do first is select this fitted shirt area here and select that forearm. The reason I'm doing that is when we bring a magnet into a scene and we have an object or a body part selected, the magnet will automatically parent to that, and it makes our life a lot easier and faster to position the magnet. So I'll come up to Object, Create Magnet, and it drops into the scene. Now, magnets play by two different rules. They have the world coordinate system, which is how you move everything around in the world together, and then they've got the local coordinate system. And so the first thing we'll want to do is with magnet 1 here, let me select the props magnet base, and that will move everything. On the x-axis, I'm not going to move it at all, but on the z rotation axis, I'm going to go ahead and rotate this around to about 90 degrees because I'm going to pull that sleeve over to the cuff. On the Y translation, I will go ahead and pull this up. And if I select the magnet itself at this point and go, okay, this is where we go from the world coordinates to the local coordinates. The magnet will now function based on how it's been turned, and the Y will be to the left up on the magnet here. When I click the Y coordinates, we see we get this stretch going on, but it's doing the whole sleeve, and I don't want that. So what I need to do actually is change and work with weight painting maps. That done, the way I do that is I would come over to Magnet, and we would come down to Magnet Zone, since we've already learned that's how it works. Choose Properties, use Weight Map, and then click the Paintbrush palette icon. We would go ahead and set all to 0, so we turn off the influence of the magnet on everything, and we're going to go ahead and create a specific weight map. Now I'd want to add to that, but as I move my mouse over here, we see that nothing is showing up. And if we adjust the parameter dials, we see the brush size change a little bit, but I can't paint. The reason for that, and this is a special thing about magnets and clothing, when you go ahead and fit clothing or find clothing that's been created this way, you need to change the UV coordinate system on it. How would you know that? You wouldn't. It's just one of those goofy things. So what I'm going to do is come over here to Shirt Fitted. That's actually still highlighted. I can come up to Object and actually, let's see, Figure. Since the shirt's a figure, we'll come to Skinning Method. Currently it's set to Poser Unimesh, and that's fine, but what it needs to be to function for the weight map painting is Poser Traditional. When I select that, the magnet zone is still selected. When I move it over here, suddenly we get our brush, and it, like magic, appears. So let me switch to a different tool here, and I've got the magnitude cranked up to 1 to make sure that it takes as little time as possible. I'll switch to a graph mode here so I can see a little more clearly what's going on. And these polygons right here, right along the edge, I simply want to go ahead and turn all these things green. In doing so, this is going to be the only area that's influenced by the magnet when I go ahead and make those changes. And then I bring this down and start doing everything here. Once I get them all green on this side, I'll go ahead and rotate around and do the back side. We go ahead and turn this a little bit and see if we get any red showing up. All right, we're ready to deploy and utilize the magnet now. So I'm going to come back. Let me go ahead and close up my vertex painting options here. We'll come back to props, and now we can go ahead and grab magnet 1. I'm going to switch the view here so we get a better idea of what's going on. At this point, I can move to the parameters dial, and I can move the magnet itself against its own y-axis here. So as I do that, we see the end of the sleeve moving forward. Now it's too large, and that's fine, because what we do is we grab the scale and shrink it down, and then we can again move the translation tool if we want to. So with that completed, let me go ahead and rotate around here just a little bit. We can move back into our character and see that we've joined the sleeve back up with the cuff now, and everything is as it should be. So as a recap, working with magnets and clothes, make sure you always change the coordinate system for that figure, if you've done a fitted figure, from skinning method from Poser Unimesh, and change it back to Poser Traditional.